What is the most valuable asset in today's day and age? You either have it or you're putting the fries in the bag, little bro. And just like real life, in the Invincible verse, the more aura you have, the more cheeks you gon' be clapping.
Congratulations, I'm coming.
So I'm gonna rank all the main characters from Aura Farmer to Fries in the Bag. And at the end, only one character will take the S tier spot, Aura God. Starting with Mark Grayson himself. Get your hand D tier, son. The most fraudulent protagonist in history. I swear, I've never seen a main character take more L's than this dude. From the first major fight, he and the rest of the fraudians of the globe get straight embarrassed by Battle Beast. But you know what? I get it. Battle Beast? We'll get to him. So I'm gonna let that slide. Then Mark gets whooped by his own father, and it's not even a regular whooping either. Bro gets forced to stand still with one hand and used as a human meat grinder. Okay, fine. You know what? That's Omni Man. But Mark couldn't even beat an overgrown fish! Every Viltrumite he comes into contact with violates him, and arguably the biggest fumble, the whole Angstrom-Levy situation was entirely his fault. If Mark would have just talked to the Maulers and Angstrom instead of going in like a crash out, then Angstrom wouldn't have lost his mind and caused the whole Invincible War situation. But that's not even the worst of it. This is his biggest L. How is this dude getting disrespected by his mid-up? Bro, if I had Mark's powers, best believe ain't no chick talking to me like that. Now, I'm not saying I'm gonna be on a Homelander type beat, but still know your worth, gang. Now, the only reason Mark ain't F tier is because his line against Conquest at the very end, I can see your future. You won't live to see tomorrow. Nah, that was pretty hard. We gonna let you cook with that one. Next up, going into B tier, is my goat, Alan the Alien. Now, Alan is a bit of a tricky customer. On one hand, Alan does have the best fades in the series. Him running duos with Nolan against the Viltrumites was a great fade, but they were jumping him, which does take away some aura points. Granted, I'm pretty sure Alan could have soloed, bro. Him clowning on Anissa was fire as hell. Letting a weaker op attack you just for you to laugh it off is straight out of the Aura God textbook. I would say him violating Mark and the Immortal is something to take note of, but come on, who hasn't bodied them? The main reason I don't have Alan in A tier is because he jokes around a bit too much. Alan's probably my favorite character from the series, but even I have to admit, sometimes his dialogue feels like it's straight out of a Marvel movie. By default, that makes you lose aura. Now, I'm not saying it's as bad as Marvel movies, I've never cringed at any of his lines, but for example, when Nolan saved him and Alan started yapping about, did you get a haircut? Did you trim your mustache? It's like, bro, what are you chatting about? Take this serious. But this was the only moment in the show where his comedic character went a bit too far. Other than that, Alan really is him. Bro got washed in front of the Huzzies just to come back as Sebum with the hands of Tom Aspinall. Hello, Conquest. I've got nothing against you personally, but I think I could beat you. But let me know in the comments below who you think got that, Conquest or Alan. To be honest, my money's gonna be on Alan. Speaking of, stand ready for my arrival, worm. Conquest is an easy Aura Farmer tier, bro. What you thought this was? Every frame Unk is on screen can be used for an edit. The moment he pulled up on Mark, everybody knew.
Okay, we are cooked.
It wasn't just the way he spanked Mark that gives him so much presence on screen, but the small details in between the fade that made Conquest feel like an actual character. When Unk made a heart out of his blood and then popped it in front of Mark, I knew we were about to see a classic. Then the way he upped Nolan on the massacre scene. From going through a train to evaporating an entire city, oh my goodness! That's what really proved to me that Conquest was
one of Satan's greatest soldiers.
Nolan did that just to prove a point to Mark about humans being worthless. Conquest committed genocide just for the fun of the game. On top of all of that, Conquest joined the infamous club with Anakin Skywalker that packs up children. But what really made Unk so goated was the Jordan Peterson therapy session he had with Mark in the middle of the fade. Bro really beat the brakes off Mark, smoked that Oliver pack, and pounded Eve, then started talking about how he has no friends because people think he's a crash out. Damn, son, I wonder why. But the writing of that scene was impeccable. We get to see the many negatives that comes from being a part of the Viltrum Empire. Their entire model is based off being the strongest and most dominant. But what happens when you're the most strongest and most dominant? At least the second strongest. The more worlds you conquer, the more humanity you lose. The reason why Nolan was able to turn his act around was because of the relationship he had with Debbie and Mark. Conquest not only had no such thing, but sped run conquering worlds. He truly was a victim of his own success. So with all that, Unk goes into A tier. Speaking of Unks, let's get our first F tier out of the way. Mr. Put the Fries in the Bag himself. The Immortal. Oh man, where do I begin? Our first introduction to bro, to this jobber, is him getting packed up. Imagine the introduction of a main side character is him getting his back blown out. That within itself I could have looked past, but every time he's on screen from that moment forward, he gets clowned on. His second appearance, he gets smoked. In alternate universes, he gets bodied. In a future timeline, he couldn't even govern a world after it was made peaceful by a future Mark, ruins everything, and then begs to get packed up. Even in moments where his ops don't want smoke, he acts like a crash out and then gets treated like a preschooler. The Immortal will never beat the fraud allegations.
I want this man out of my sight right here.
But you know who has beaten the fraud allegations? Our next B tier, Rex. Now Rex was well on his way in joining Mark in the D tier. The first couple of seasons he did nothing memorable in the show except for fulfill his role of keep the ops busy until Mark arrives, the classic Z Fighters technique. He coming, man, just wait, you gon' see. Bro was extremely unlikable. Best way I could describe it was an annoying version of Alan. But that all changed in season 3, where the writers really gave our boy some top tier character development. He actually reminds me a lot of a Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Iron Man. The first few moments, Rex was insufferable, cheating on Eve, waffling on about nonsense, but after the experience with the lizard people, Rex really came through and showed us that when the cards are down, the team can rely on him to do his part. Not quite Luca, but more like AD. Following that was his personal growth with Ray. That one scene where he recognized he was being a dickhead and then changed his behavior was real shit. Most people double down on their ways, but Rex watched a couple After Dark edits and changed his ways. Then his sacrifice in the Invincible War. Dang, son. All the real ones should have tier 1 that bridge blew up. I really like Rex's character, but since this is an Aura tier list, I can't really put him any higher. But you know who is? The next A tier, Battle Beast. Whew. Oh my god, son. I gotta decide between Battle Beast, Conquest, and 2 more characters on who's gonna be the Aura God. But you wanna talk about metal though? Just look at this panel. I mean, that should really be it, right? Nah, Battle Beast really just radiates Black Air Force energy. He shows up, hanks everyone up in sight, and just dips. Like, what? This dude was able to garner a massive fan base while showing up for just 1 episode in season 1. Then his fade with Alan and the Viltrumites. You want to talk about demon typing? Battle Beast went and squatted up, but then decided to run solos on quads. Who does that? Then the way he said this one line, bruh.
Is that a promise?
A literal eargasm. Battle Beast plays the Himothy role so well in the series. He never looks weak, radiates aura with terrifying one-liners, and his design is so cold. He has a lot of similarities with our next B tier, Nolan. Now I know some of y'all thinking, what? Nolan's B tier?
Are you sure?
Just keep in mind I'm only talking about show Nolan. So, let's be real. Does he have the same amount of presence as Conquest and Battle Beast at this point of the show? Nope. He definitely doesn't have as much aura as the other characters I'm going to be talking about. And plus, B tier is still a pretty good spot. He's with Alan and Rex. But chat, he piped bugs! Cockroaches! Ew, what the fuck? Bro, I don't care how down bad you are. If you go from this to this, you lose so much aura. And let's be real about this too. The W Nolan's had taken thus far was against Mark, the Fraudians, and the Immortal. Not exactly a GOAT tier roster. I do like his sad boy storyline in season 3 though. Bro's suffering through the sins of his past and needs a purpose to keep pushing forward, not a berserk type beat. And finally when he locks in, his fade with the random all Viltrumite was pure cinema. So that's why he's in B tier. Once we get more of the series adapted, best believe he shoots up the tier list. Now the last 2 characters I'm going to talk about have only shown up in the comics. So if you're a show only viewer, feel free to click off and watch one of my other videos. But if you don't care about spoilers or have already read the comics, then you know who's the next Aura Farmer, Mr. Low Taper Fade himself, Mr.
When I get a cut, I think I'm top 5.
I swear, Thragg literally just exists to aura farm. I've never seen a panel of this dude looking normal. People thought Piccolo was an aura farmer? Nah, just wait for a Thragg to get animated. And it ain't even just about how he looks. His feats in the series are crazy. Bro packed up Battle Beast and wore him as a fit. Who does that? Granted, I know the W was a bit suspect since Battle Beast intentionally hurt himself during the fade, but still ain't nobody doing that to Battle Beast no matter how hurt he is. But it ain't just his fading capabilities either. This dude done piped every single Thraxian and raised an army of his own children to attack Mark. And I know, piping Thraxians ain't exactly anything to write home about, but still, no one can deny how hard this panel goes. And even the way he died was so metal. Mark had a whole bro in the middle of the sun and was ready to sacrifice himself just to put Thragg down. Crazy work. Now the last person on the list, the last aura farmer tier. No. The only person making it into the Aura God S tier. Yes, you heard me right. More aura than Thragg? Nah, I don't know if I'm mad. Woo! I don't know if I'm crazy, but something about Rudy motherfuckers is pure, unfiltered aura. Bro, every panel of this dude belongs in an After Dark edit, but more importantly, this dude executes Order 66 on every single hero. Rudy really pulled a Palpatine, but the difference is, the goal of his plan was good. Now, the execution of it, of course, is a bit questionable. Packing up all the heroes on Earth is a hard sell, don't get me wrong. But let's talk about the W's that made him an Aura God. First, he took over the Faction dimension. Ruling your own dimension is quite the flex, I'd say. Second, Monster Girl. Need I say more? She did cheat on him, but the way he handles it screams Himothy. Instead of taking her back like some beta, he throws her into space. Oh, that's what you get. Now for the real stuff, right? The world had become a utopia under robots' rule. Crime, famine, the uneducated, better known as Twitter users or retard, no longer exists, and it's not like Rudy didn't give the heroes a chance to join him. He literally says it right here in 4K. You can join me and help usher in the golden age, but no, that's on them. He really is on an Ozymandias type beat. But what really makes his character stand out even more is how his story gets so much better in terms of depth. It reminds me a lot of Hunter x Hunter. The first few arcs are entertaining, but it's a shonen meant for kids. But then all of a sudden, hey yo, what the? Turns into a masterpiece. Which is exactly how I describe Rudy's character in Invincible, a pure masterpiece. And when you're that well written, there's really no reason you shouldn't be on top of the tier list. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments who you'd put into S tier, and if I should do the same kind of video but for other series.